secured by Sproul.
Jason's coming back. Chris is coming back over something.
Welcome to the Coal Sports Warrior Race, and it is Friday morning in Australia and Thursday evening in the US in Canada, and I'm, as always, joined by Tim Ballantyne. Happy Valentine's Day.
Oh, thanks,
Happy
mate.
Valentine's
Should we
Day.
hug it out?
Give us a hug. That's
Hug
the
it out. Hug
first
it
and
out.
last hug of the night. So to all those out
That's
there.
more love than we get, you know.
Absolutely. So huge pack tonight, Tim, and we are expecting some huge fireworks. We're looking on Zwift Power at the moment. There is some serious talent coming through.
Yeah, we've got, I think, about 10 or 11 riders in the peloton tonight with a rating of under 200 in Zwift Power, which, if you're not aware of how the rating system works, we'll just say that's very good.
Elite.
If you're at that
Elite.
level, that's very, very good. So we are, of course, doing four laps of the Volcano circuit. We're going to do a little bit of a ride through of what one of those circuits look through. So let's throw straight to that in the pre-show and check out what the riders can expect. So we're going to skip the little bit where you come off the pier and come up Ocean Boulevard, so they'll come straight out through the tunnel. And here's the little loop. We get a double look at the Coral Rock there on the left-hand side. Hashtag Coral Rock there. And so this is a double look also at the finish line. Here's that double kick, Greg, that bit where you think you've got it running, and then bang. This is where we get it done. Just in that last 50 metres, you'll see it. So here's the start of one of the laps. So a little bit of downhill. Not too much, to be honest, on these laps, but it certainly favours the big, heavy sprinters.
Yep.
But just an opportunity here for maybe some leg snapping.
Yeah, a little breather before you take this hairpin right-hand turn and go straight up probably the only climb really, Tim, in the race, 4 or 5%. Then it does flatten out. You take a right-hand turn, and then that little kick there is when people really lose it, because you're already on threshold and you start to really feel the Volcano circuit kicking in.
Get about, certainly when we follow the front pack, don't you get about a sort of a 10% attrition each lap.
Yep.
And I must say, though, with some of these riders that we're seeing here that are going to be lining up tonight, I think we might get a little bit more. This could be quite the painful exercise for those that are signing up. But that's what it's all about. That's what Zwift Race is. Here's that finish line again, and they will come up and underneath the arch, arms in the air, and it'll be really interesting to see who takes home the chocolates tonight in the Coal Sports Warrior
the chocolates,
race.
Or we'll call the roses, take home the roses, being Valentine's Day.
Chockies on Valentine's Day?
Did you know Valentine's Day originated in 496, the year 496, and it was a lottery of men that were given a woman. Tim.
That's horrendous.
Wouldn't happen in 2020.
Times have changed.
That's where it originated from, and I really don't like the man or the woman who invented that day, because it's an horrendous day.
Yeah, well, you just put a little Outlook reminder in your calendar and you're all good. So anyway, let's have a look at some of the riders. We've got 3 riders to preview for tonight's race, and certainly a few there that are returning to the Coal Sports race. I know one of them, Craig Pike, who I'll be going through second. He's coming back, I think, he's about 2 months off the Coal Warrior Race Series. And so welcome back to Pikey, mate. But I'll let you go through the first rider, Greg.
Let's do it. Yeah, so first up this evening or this morning, wherever you are looking in the world, we have a young man out of Australia, out of Victoria, named Aidan Sinclair, 16 years of age, this young bloke is. He's actually taken the day off school to race with us this morning, so look out. He's a very new Zwifter with eight races under his belt.
Taking the day off school?
Absolutely. 3 wins, a second and a third, and I will tell you right now, Tim, he has absolutely dominated you and I before. I'm 22 years his senior, and I get absolutely dominated by Aidan. So look forward to him.
What's he weigh?
Smashing it off the front.
On Zwift Power.
Weight 65, just a lazy 56 kilos. Jesus. Righto. So second and fourth in his last 2 Warrior races, and he was taken out last time by a professional athlete named Jay Vine. So look out for Aidan as he comes through. He does race on the road too, Tim, with a really close relationship for me, the Oliver's Whole Food Racing Team, who supported me on my ride around Australia in 2016. So
look at that story insertion.
I just got to throw
bit
it
of
in
me
there
time.
every now and then. So,
you're a disgrace.
Let's wish all the best to Aidan, and we will crack on and have a look at the next rider.
How does that happen? How does that happen? It's the magic. I keep telling my daughter I'm the magic man. Maybe she'll believe me. So we're going to have a look at Craig Pike here at the moment, if you'll give me that. So Craig Pike, he is a bit of a veteran but experienced. Look at him in those vapor flies. Pikey, I need to have a talk to you about that. Last 10 starts, he's had a couple of wins. He's had a second placing and a third placing. So if you're looking at that that last 10 starts, we've sort of pinched that from horse racing, that last 10 starts, but we like that. He's part of the dirt crew, and he is often off the front in the car races, I must say. And a couple of other bits of information as well. Interesting race for Craig to jump into. I feel like his strengths probably lie in that sort of that longer climb style. He can sort of hold sort of high 4.9 watts per kilo for about. So I'm not sure whether he'll have the sprint here tonight, but certainly just want to, of course, welcome back Craig, and usually in the Koa Sports kit. So of course, if we haven't mentioned it, if you do complete the race tonight and you haven't done before, you'll get a Koa Sports Warrior race kit in your garage, and it's great to see that out on Watopia. But good luck to Pikey tonight, and Greg will have a look at this final rider you've got in store.
Yes, our final rider we're going to highlight this evening, Tim, before the race kicks off, is a young man out of Japan named Masayuki Tomizawa. Has certainly joined us before in the races. He's a very, very experienced Zwift racer. 150 starts, if you don't mind. And his last 10 starts, he's been a first, a second, and 2 bronzes. So in the last, interesting fact here, Tim, in the last 6 months, he's had a 0.6 increase in his FTP. So watch out for an early attack. I did have a quick chat with Masayuki on Facebook, and he is predicting a little attack as he comes through early. Don't think we'll see him figure in the sprint if it comes down to a sprint finish this evening, but he certainly has that 20-minute power that can go right off the front of this event. So 3 riders there we highlight. If you want to be highlighted on the Koa Sports Warrior race, flick us an email, flick us a Facebook message, and we will happily highlight you in the next event. So let's crack on and have a look and see what's happening.
Rightio, mate, that is indeed correct. So, if you feel like you got a little bit of FOMO there and you want to get involved, send us through your profile. We had a guy last night, and name slips on mine off the top, certainly from the Netherlands. Dreesen, that's right, and he finished in the top 5 of our Warrior race last night. Send us a little bio, add a pic if you feel comfortable doing that. Otherwise, we'll just grab a random one from like we sometimes.
You never know who you'll end up.
You never know who you'll end up looking like.
With it, don't send us a photo and we'll come up with something for you.
Let's have a look at the paddock. They've got inside 2 minutes to go, and it'll be interesting to see how many we've got. Of course, the completion rates of these races are fairly high. I know we sort of sit above sort of 80% there on Zwift, so looking for a high completion rate again. So if you do start it, like we always say, if you start something, try and finish it. You might as well finish it, and it's a great training effect. So a minute 26 to go, and just a time to maybe just try and lower that heart rate over the next sort of minute, and then of course start to really crank that trainer that you're on at home. Leading 10 seconds into the start of the race.
If you're watching at home on Facebook or Twitch or any of those platforms that Zwift Community Live goes live to, please comment, share and like the posts. We do have a lot of interaction as we go with Zwift Community Live, and our expert in the field that we use, Tim, we don't use him. He helps us with everything. Kent Cross.
Well, we're stuffed without him, frankly.
I think we're going to get him to tell us.
He's just thrown himself up.
Look at that, his little wobble there. So Kent's going to tell us how you can be notified of when we are going live.
Yep,
how are you, Kent, first of all?
I'm pretty tired, but...
Oh, jeez, here we go.
I'm good.
Righto, so how do we get notified on Facebook, mate?
Super simple for someone like me, maybe not so much for you guys, but you head to Facebook, right? You click on the Koa Sports page and you click like, and then you've got to click follow.
Righto, that'll keep you with the notifications.
I'll let you in on a little story when we get going here inside why I've asked for that. I was asking for a friend, of course.
Of course.
But here we go, inside 10 seconds. So you can imagine the guys starting to crank those there, starting to build, and really hit the pace hard, because if you get dropped in the first 30 seconds here, there ain't no coming back tonight. So here we go as they jump out of the paddock tonight. Here we're with Huld as he comes through the pack. We'll certainly wind our way down off the pier and onto Ocean Boulevard. They'll take a left-hand turn, and and they'll get that ramp at the start, Greg. They get that little ramp, and then it starts to stretch over 150 riders here tonight in the Koa Sports Warrior Race. So welcome for the first time, and if you are tuning in, this is of course our first production takeover on Zwift Community Live. So
how is Nathan going? Do you
his
think?
heart rate's over 200.
Okay,
and he might be dead. He might be dead. I know he'd be nervous, but you're in good hands. Good hands with a couple of, or I should say, 3 very, very silly Australians.
Now, I did see, Tim, just a few names as we jumped straight off the pier there. We saw Gilbert in there, who's won 3 out of the last 4 Koa races. I did see Masayuki in there. I did see, Tim, one of the more popular and better credentialed riders on the Zwift world, Brian Hodges, who about 2 hours ago finished 4th in the Callis Cup, another amazing event on the Zwift Community Live page at the moment. I was dropped after about 2 kilometres and rode 51 kilometres solo this morning, but Brian did finish 4th and backing up in our race. So we'll see how he goes, if he's got any petrol left in the legs.
Here's that ramp they're going up, so 3%. So you just got to sort of hang in there. You really sort of got to hang in there. Does flatten off as they come through that tunnel, but you just sort of see that stretch. Maybe if we can get a bit of a look back across the pack, we'll probably be able to see back down the road as to sort of how that peloton is strung out. There you go there. Big sort of string. That will likely come back together, that sort of that concertina effect. Even a little feather up, power up being played there at the back of the peloton as they start. But we have seen that there are team members all from the same esports teams here. So look for some coordinated Discord and WhatsApp attacks.
Yeah, so I did see the Lafert team. They got 3 in this evening. I did see 3 entries from the Evoke team as well, Tim. So look for those guys to have some coordination. And it might be the fact that I'm just going to throw this out there. I like my predictions in Zwift racing.
Look out.
Brian could be the one to
You've
launch
just cursed
the attack.
Him. You've just cursed him.
He's going to launch the attack.
I'm sorry, Brian. You got no chance because Greg's just picked you. And if you haven't realised already, Greg's never on target with his prediction. But he liked putting it out there, and I like that.
I'm just going to keep throwing
it out there.
One day, I think if you throw 100 darts, one day you're going to hit the
Have you heard the saying about a blind squirrel?
What's it? No.
A blind squirrel will eventually find a peanut.
Right. That's fantastic.
You like that?
Keep that in mind.
Yeah, Cap is absolutely. He's just laughing.
He's absolutely. He's trying to contain himself. So good to see Alex Side in there. He has changing schedule, I believe. He's been able to jump in and join us as well this evening. So
any questions? We do a little bit of coaching from time to time, I should say. That's our, of course, what keeps the lights on. We are full-time coaches. So if you've got any simple questions, we want some straight bat style questions, please. Stuff. Nothing about sort of heart rate variability or things like that. We do have a broadcast going on, but anything simple or anything about sort of maybe power-ups or anything that you'd like to know, hit us up and then we can throw it to Kent and he can get the curveballs.
Absolutely. So just coming through now, this is the end of the lap, so the start of the 4 laps, the end of the lead-in, and every rider in the peloton here will be getting a power-up, and Tim, the best power-up to get in this event is the 10XP. Absolutely.
My favourite, and you'd play it about now. Of course, it's a great one to get. So they'll come in. So they get 4 cracks here at getting a power up. So you get a lot of power ups, a lot of attacks. So here's the start. You see that number 4 counter on the right hand side as they come on. So they're going to loop this 4 times with 160. 159 riders in the start. This is already pretty small.
Pretty thin, yep.
Interesting there, Cryogen Snagglepuss there, so you can see some of the data. Let's go through just what you can see on the screen if you are tuning in, of course, for the first time. I'll start with the blue box, Greg. Okay, mate. So we'll stay with Snagglepuss. So currently pushing 277 watts, 280, just jumps around a little bit. It's going to really drop off here as they come downhill. 78 RPM, so that's, of course, his cadence, and heart rate sitting at about 160. Watch that sort of tick on down. That should go into the 150s over the next sort of 30 seconds to a minute, depending on how much of a beast this man is. And what else are we looking at, Greg?
We know he's a beast. In the top there, the section at the white section, Tim, at the top, we can see the speed at 60 kilometres an hour at the moment. The distance we've travelled so far, 3.7 kilometres at a lazy 4.5 minutes, which is the ET on the side. And the little blue number in the middle there, the 20, symbolises the amount of elevation we have gone so far. And talking of elevation, we are about to take
great timing
180-degree hairpin turn, and you will see some power-ups being played here, and I expect to see some attacks off the front.
Orange lights.
Great to see Aidan Sinclair in that front group pushing 4.1 watts a kilo, which amazingly, Tim's only 207 watts for him. Unbelievable.
Yeah, there you go. Lightweight, but a young man finding his way in the world of cycling. So good luck to him. So here comes that hairpin on the right-hand side. You'll see a lot of green icons, I'd imagine. That's just going to drop some weight off these avatars. Here we go. A couple of greenies popping up. You only want to play the good ones if you have to. So here we go on the right-hand side. We've got Fuchs in there, 8 watts per kilo. Butler, 5.7 watts per kilo. Nothing too dramatic.
Tim, 10 watts a kilo, but he's just sat up now and just going to trickle up that climb and stay in the group. And
here's that. Of course, we did that ride through at the start, so it flattens out here, and the double kick, as we like to say, it just kicks again. You've just got to hang in there. Aidan Sinclair's heart rate there, 171 beats per minute and 275 watts. You could go to, say, a Hodges, and you'd expect to see probably a little bit higher wattage, someone like that who's carrying a bit more freight, but of course needs to move that freight uphill.
Absolutely, yeah. Brian Hodges obviously will stay at the front, very experienced with rider, and we expect to see him in the fight for the finish. I don't expect this group to be as big as it is as we come through the next lap after we get those 2 kickers. I'll expect to see some attacks off the front as they come through the finish arch and take on another power-up.
And I should just clarify, we do have a little bit of Aussie slang, and freight. Freight means weight.
Freight is weight.
Freight is weight, and what they say, weight will stop a train.
Any questions around the Aussie humour and slang, please fire them through on the Zwift Community Live chat or on Facebook, and we will address those with a bit of humour, Tim.
Yeah,
as we roll through.
100%. So 5.3 kilometres down, and it's of course about a 20-kilometre race. So about 15 k's to go. Nothing too dramatic at this point. Maybe they're just sort of saving their bacon maybe for the second last lap. We have seen early attacks. Usually Alex Side does something, but maybe racing a little bit smarter tonight. Berger in there, Corrigan, Allen in there, and Luzia is in there with Hardy as well. I think we're going to come around and pick up some of the D and C grade riders. Probably usually on that third lap we start to ride through some of those on this. These guys are hooking it around at 46 kilometres per hour.
Yeah, there's certainly a bit of heat on it. As we say, we stand here and look and watch and say they're just cruising around, but their heart rates there all over 150 beats a minute. We're just watching Ivany there at the moment. He's just sitting in at about 240 watts, so pretty comfortable for him. And this front pack is already thinned out. And just off the back, a couple of Coal Sports athletes just hanging around at the back of the peloton. I'd like to see
still 36 strong, Greg, on Zwift Live at the moment. 36 riders strong, this front pack, so doing really well. I'd say probably might be down to 32 this time on the next lap. We might get a drop off of 4 or 5.
Is that a prediction from you? Is that
okay? That's a prediction. Yeah, you can hold me. You can hold me to that, and if I'm wrong, 32. We will not bring it up. So here comes the end of that first lap. So another little look here at what you can expect to see. This is certainly where we'll see some attacks on that fourth and final lap, some early attacks as they come up the double ramp. And for those that have played, of course, their power up, they get to pick up another one. We may see some dumping.
A few being played here, looking for a different sort of power up as they come through the finish arch as well. Usually we see that. So, yeah, big, strong pack. Certainly no one going to come from the clouds here and ride back to this group this evening. But we will see some heavy attacks very soon. Absolutely no doubt about it. This race is going to be under 25 minutes this evening, so it'll be really fast.
There off the front. I think we saw Venn last week, maybe. Dallas in there as well. Responds 8.8 watts. Sorry, say that again. Jean-Pierre, that is correct. Jean-Pierre Venn, he is off the front here. Just put a 1 second gap. That's all going to come back together, of course. Got a Koa Sports Warrior with a beautiful disc there on the back
Dallas,
wheel.
Tim. He's always in our races every week with that disc, and he'll just sit up now.
2.
He usually throws it off the front a little bit.
3 seconds, a little bit of a gap there. So interesting. These two are pretty handy too, Jean-Pierre and Dallas as well. So interesting to see if they can hold them off. Probably not with the rate at which some of those riders are moving, but maybe just a little kick, maybe just part of the warm-up. I know sometimes early in races you can use it to stretch the legs if maybe you're running a little bit late.
Yeah, I tried that this morning. It didn't really
How'd that
work
go for you?
Well. Not real well whatsoever. I forgot my towel and had to get off and get a towel, and it was just I was curtains by about 2 kilometres in. Anyway, as we roll around here now, Tim, one of the things, we're just going to go up this next climb, but one of the things that we've had a lot of people sending us messages on is if I can buy a Coa Sports jersey? Now, the answer to that is absolutely yes. Wherever you live in the world, you can absolutely buy a Coa Sports jersey. And once we get up the climb, we're going to have a bit more of a chat about that as well.
Yeah, that is indeed correct. So if you like the watermelon red, has been called other sorts of red as well. Yeah, we might do that next time. But yeah, you can get involved. The 2XU store is now open, but that link will be put on our Facebook page across all channels, and of course our Coa Sports Warrior athletes across now over 30 countries around the world. They have access to that. But we would love to see a lot of the Zwift community there buying some of these Warrior jerseys as well, and wearing them out on the road in the real life.
Yeah, now here we go here. More power-ups being played here. If you've got the feather and you're starting to struggle a little bit, now's the time to put it. What
Draft buses.
Interesting thing there, Tim. Aiden Sinclair is sitting right on Brian Hodges' wheel as they came up that little stinger. So this will just flatten out again. When we hit the right-hand turn, we'll see a little bit of attrition off the back of this group, no doubt about it, because things are starting to evolve at the front. I can see Brian's still in there, 172. He's working, absolutely, 450 watts. So a couple of aero buses being played as well. Anything to stay with the group as you come up this little kicker at 5%.
Yeah, indeed, mate, indeed. Isn't it funny up some of those ramps you see just a couple of avatars dropping off? That sometimes means that the skewer has come out and the trainer and bike is on the floor, or you've had to put about 600 watts through, or the chains just kind of slip grab, and it's just game over, and you just go back to your training. Just don't throw your toys out with the cot.
Yeah, now you're on that point, Tim. A shout out to a Coa Sports athlete who celebrated a birthday this week, Zach Anstey, who's famous in the Coa Sports Warrior League, our first ever league that we ran, for dropping his towel into his jersey.
He was hot
into the cassette.
He was hot.
Ruined his whole race.
He stripped off a layer and dropped it down. So speaking of replacement jerseys, let's have a quick look at the 2XU range. And if you're part of a team or a club, you can of course design your own kit.
Doing some things that I know you haven't heard before.
1, 2, 3, listen.
Can we not dance, Greg? Can we
got in trouble last night from April.
Just stop, mate. Stop, mate. Good feedback there by Pat O'Neill. He is saying that he loves the overlays, but too bad it's the same crappy Zwift screen view, which is good feedback. We are trying to get a little bit of a better view, mate. We're working on it. We're always trying to improve production, so definitely noted, and love the constructive criticism here. Of course, on the left-hand side is the Coa Sports Rock. We aptly claimed and named. I hope that act doesn't actually have an official name, Greg. We might be in a bit of strife.
Well,
but
it's now the Coa Sports Rock, the KOA
We've
Rock.
taken it over.
The KOA Rock. So shout out also to Sean McAfee, always joining us, loves the broadcast, and to Darren, SST or polarised? I'm not quite sure where we're at with that.
I'd just like to say, Greg, that we're down to 30 riders, so we've lost 4 or 5 riders on this lap.
You said 32. It's close enough. I'll pay that.
That's
all right.
Yeah, pay it. Here we go through the end of the second lap. So we're halfway through the loops here, and look for some action here. We'll focus definitely in enough of the banter on what is going to happen ahead, because typically this is where things really start to heat up.
Yep, we're getting an attack, 2 attacks coming through here now. And quick shout out to Neil Ostenfeld. He says, Hodges is racing again. What an animal. I will agree with that 110%. That race only finished 2 hours ago.
Hasn't had the nose to the breeze yet, which is pretty smart. Corrigan here off the front. He's just put 3 seconds back to the main pack. 6.2 watts per kilo, 450 watts if you don't mind. Maintaining a nice cadence as they start to pick up some of those D-grade riders. So if you're wondering what is happening there, that's just the nature of this course. We will see that a little bit. And 170 beats per minute for Corrigan at the moment. 3 seconds back to the main pack. That will be, of course, swallowed up. Such is the nature of the speed of that peloton and the quality of riders back there.
Yeah, absolutely. Look at those times, Tim. 5:04 for the Volcano Loop. That is absolutely flying. So definitely for that sub 25-minute clocking this evening.
They are floats. Good to see Gilbert still in there with Sinclair, Hodges. These are some of those big names. I cannot wait for this finish. Pikey's in there. Of course, we reviewed Pikey's form and some of his data before the race. So if you're just tuning in now for the first time, jump back and watch the replay and catch some of our pre-show. And if you do want to be involved or have your bonds, if you've got a little bit of FOMO and you want to get a bit of a shout out, send us through some of your profile and even potentially a little profile pic.
Tell us something funny.
Otherwise, be warned, I will throw in a picture of someone totally different.
Have you ever seen the rather large cyclist in the lamprey kit rocking around? We might be able to get him on there. It's a famous photo on Facebook.
Right.
He's got guts that are bigger than an elephant's guts.
Right.
He's a very large man. But
we just want to put a name there to that. So we'll take a right-hander up this hairpin now. Look for some big numbers, maybe some more attrition, Greg. Some feather-up power-ups being played. We've got 8.1 watts per kilo by Gumbel. Berger 8.1 watts per kilo. Up to 10 watts per kilo by from Sinclair. Look at that wattage up. VH there, 600 watts, 168 beats per minute. That's going to climb well and truly into the 170s, maybe even high 170s as we especially get this double kick up this ramp. They're really starting to chew through some of the peloton.
We have never seen them catch like C and D grade riders this quick in this event.
Windburn.
So it is absolutely on. And just as they hit this next kick, this group is really thinning out. They're nearly single file now as they come up that little kicker. So there's going to be a little bit more attrition off the back. And we see Fuchs there, Team ADZ, just hanging on as he pushes through. And he will get back onto the wheel there.
And one of the things we really, really try to do here with our Warrior races and broadcasts is as much as it is about the front pack, it is very much about the mid pack and the back of the pack. So we try to call multiple finishes.
Absolutely.
We like to call it. So if you are watching, don't expect us just to cut straight after the first finish. We'll roll back through the pack, try and call 2 or 3 groups through that we identify sort of 4 or 5 riders. And we try to cover as much ground as possible because as much as it is about these heavy hitters, Zwift is all about inclusion.
Absolutely.
And particularly that's what we're all about. So we'll roll back and call a few more finishes. So you just might get a broadcast call that you can share out to all your family and friends.
I've always found this, Tim, whenever you do a race on Zwift that has a bit of broadcast around it, you find an extra 20 or 30 watts somewhere in your back pocket that will absolutely help you out. And I'm tipping that Pikey's going to be one of those guys this evening, along with a few others in there, Jay Ray and Ivany in there as well.
Yeah, look at that, Sean McCaffrey. See, we like that sort of feedback, Craig, because it just just get a little bit of a head wobble going. I like the positive feedback. We like that as coaches because we often get a lot of negative feedback.
We're human. We often need a bit of a stroke every now and then just to let us know that we're loved and everyone loves us.
Can you hit the dump button? No, just kidding.
It's good to see Snagglepuss in there. He's a regular in the Cryogen kit as well. So definitely, and Giuliano, he is definitely a heavy hitter. This is going. I'm very excited, Tim. In case you haven't noticed, I'm very excited.
Big ride-on bomb. Look, I love my ride-on bombs.
Nathan Guerra maybe out there just dropping some bombs somewhere along the way, or someone has. So
big ride-on bomb. Maybe it was Kappa. So of course, if you are on the Zwift Companion app and you follow and get involved and give us a follow on the Companion app, I always like to shout, give a little few ride-ons, couple of waves, flicks of the elbows when I'm out there training, try and knock people off their bikes as I go past. It never seems to work.
I'm waiting for the banana peel to come in so we can throw that
Magpie.
in front of a few wheels. The Magpie.
Start the campaign.
For that for
Start the campaign.
Expect it. This group's certainly thinned out. We've got one little hitter here, and we are coming into the third, and then this is the penultimate lap, and then we will start the 4th lap where it's going to be on like Donkey Kong, and I'm expecting the group to be about 20 as we come through this line.
Thanks, Magnus, for sharing the stream. That's what we need. We need more eyes. We need more feedback. We need more involvement on these broadcasts. So thank you much for sharing that out. Here's that double kick now. So this has been a little bit placid. I think 3 weeks ago we called this race, of course, on Zwift Community Live. I think about at lap 2 we saw some big stretching, so maybe
they kept the pack off too that week. We're
looking for 16 watts a kilo, baby, coming up that last. So here we go, last lap, big names in there. We got Alex Side, Corrigan, Allen, Dex Dines, Smith, Snagglepuss, Cryogen, Broski, Berger, the Laferte boys are in there as well.
And great to see Masayuki Tomizawa out of Japan, who we highlighted in the race early. He's still just holding in that front group, so keep going, mate. mate. You're doing a great job. So we're down to about 20 riders, but Tim's probably going to tell us something from.
Yeah, and of course, how could I forget Brian Hodges and Craig Pike? So Hodges, haven't seen him really come to the front. No nose to the breeze. Expect some big watts. Interesting to see where, and they get that timing because we will see, you want to take, if you can't hit over 10, 12, 13 watts a kilo, there's no point in making it a 20-second sprint because you will just get eaten alive, as I always find out.
You want to go head-to-head in a sprint, I'll give you the hot tip.
Yep, so we might see some early attacks maybe underneath that Koa Sports rock on that left-hand side.
There's a little ramp, Tim. There's about a 100-metre ramp just before, or after that rock, actually, that just kicks up, and we've often seen attacks there. That's about 500 to 600 metres to go.
Yeah, good point. So here we are, that back section of the Volcano Loop. We know this leg snap a bit. We might even see some big attacks off the back of this double ramp, and they may just hang in there and just basically put down a 3-minute effort. Maybe Alex Side. That's the sort of thing that Alex Side likes to do.
We haven't seen Alex punch the wind this evening, Tim. He usually has a crack off the front, so I'm expecting if he picked up a feather, he'll have a go here. Yep. And good to see Carilli there. He's a regular in the Koa Sports Warrior race as well, just sitting on the front of the peloton at the moment.
Dallas in there, Smith. So we build the tension here. They're going to take the right-hander up this ramp. Lots of feather-up power-ups. Maybe not so many aero helmets, just those. They want to keep them in their back pocket, so to speak, for that finish. Here comes some big numbers. Ivany, 8.8 watts per kilo, 9.5 watts per kilo, 700 watts if you don't mind, umpire. Cohen in there as well. Eric Hart, Alan Hodges in there, just sitting sort of mid-pack. Thomas from Finesse, Henson as well. They're all staying together, Greg. Yep. Shows the quality of this front peloton. It's going to make a breakaway really difficult.
Much strength in there. There's going to be some seriously new FTPs coming out of this event being over 20 minutes. So we're just following Aidan Sinclair at the moment. Quite comfortable. Heart rate 171. We've seen him touch 200 before. So watch for Aidan. There's going to have to be some sort of attack here, Tim. We can't take 20 riders to the final sprint because half of them are just going to get jettisoned straight out the back.
Is that a prediction?
That's another prediction. I've done plenty this evening. So.
Well, remember, Greg called Hodges early, so usually that is the curse. It's called the kiss of death, really. So Dallas, look at him. He always slides to the back there, Greg. He always slides to the back at this time of the sort of the race. Maybe a little attack there off the front. Not too big, though.
Riders,
yeah, we do.
Watts a kilo from
Van off that front. Look at that. That's an attack. 12.5 watts per kilo by Jean-Pierre Van.
Go with him here too, Tim. We might see Gilbert jump across the gap, but Jean-Pierre Vanny just absolutely nailing an attack off the front.
3 seconds now. Back to this. Gilbert, he's moved to the front. He's going to bridge that gap at 8.2 watts per kilo. They are teammates.
He's going to drag everyone back if he does that. So he doesn't want to be pushing too hard there. He just wants to sit out on the front of the group and throw out the anchor.
183 beats per minute as well, Greg. So that is going to start to. So this was that thing. Are they going to just try and put down a big 3-minute effort in the finish? Great view there of Venn. He's got a 3-second gap at the moment. Back to Cohen. Gumbel in there. Pike. Don't know if 3 seconds is going to be enough because, of course, we're going to have Hodges dropping 15 watts a kilo, and that can be made up inside 2 seconds with that sort of gap.
Yeah, the group's got him well inside there. Pike just sitting on the front. The groups actually stay together, and I think they will, if they don't see him, they'll see him with 200 metres to go. So here, this is where it all happens, Tim. Past the rock, then we've got the little kicker that just jumps up by 100 metres. We are going to pass a big group. It's going to get very complicated here for the finish.
Let's hope we get through this group pretty quickly because that's going to absolutely complicate this leaderboard on the side. So that will sort itself out hopefully within. We're going to come just perfect timing here for a broadcast as Venn comes through. And Venn's now dropped back to the back, so he's done all the heavy lifting. We may see Hodges
now 8 watts a kilo, Tim, as he comes off the front of the group. About 300 metres to go. We've got Snagglepuss there. Brian Hodges just sitting in a little bit. We've got Giuliani. Sinclair at 10 watts a kilo as he comes up the ramp. Here comes Sinclair, 15 watts a kilo now from the young man. Here comes Hodges, 11 watts a kilo. Sinclair's off the front of the group. Here comes Endo out trying to catch him. Dines is still in there. Eric Hart's still there. Go on, young man. Keep going. Keep going.
He's going to get popped on that second ramp, Greg.
Absolutely just ripped on the line by Brian Hodges coming right over the top for second place. I don't know. Didn't catch you.
I think Gilbert may have got the win there. That was super tight, and we were picking up another group on the way through.
Let's see if we can jump back and maybe have a quick look at a replay there. I'm not too sure if we've got one, but what an amazing finish from a young 16-year-old kid
I think Gilbert
out of Australia. He just got pipped
through this group pretty quickly.
And Brian Hodges absolutely timed, as always, his run to perfection. But you've tipped Gilbert to come through, and we're just watching the replay now. So you call it through, Tim.
Okay,
How'd you see it?
Well, how I saw it.
I'll do that.
You do that. I'm looking on Swift Power, mate.
Okay, so we saw Sinclair, absolute 15 watts a kilo from Sinclair as he came up the ramp. We had Endo come out after him. We had Giuliano in there. Then Brian Hodges used his power up and absolutely ripped it up to the line. And we've got just coming over the top. Eric Hart came over the top first.
Looks like Carilli maybe has got it as well.
On the line. Gilbert was certainly there. You picked him out.
You see Carilli come through.
Over the top on the yellow Tron bike was... Just still can't pick it up.
That's in the red kit. I think that's Gilbert.
We're going to pick that up on Zwift Power in a minute. But what an exciting race. See if we can jump back, Kent, and have a look at some of these other groups that we... if we can. If not, that's okay too. We'll see if we can roll back and have a look and see if
that was a big pack also formed back. There's probably, I think, maybe C or maybe D grade, the massive pack there as well. They just managed to time their run perfectly.
We're just with a group here. If we can have a quick look at that as we come through, we have got Black, Calaveri, Harty, a big group just coming past the rock at the moment. Tim, we'll just crawl this group through and then we'll jump back to the results.
Yeah, I've got some results here. It looks like Carilli has taken the win.
Unbelievable.
I think,
so
but waiting for it to refresh.
Now, Black just absolutely off the front here, absolutely smashing it. 4.5 watts a kilo. He's going to pop up. Someone out of this group's got to have an attack here on the last lap, or are they just going to call it a gentleman's agreement and roll across the line together? We're not too sure as they hit that ramp.
They won't have a gentleman's agreement. They will smash you on that second ramp. Look at that, 10.1.
10.2 watts a kilo. Here comes Shields now, 6.5 watts a kilo. We've got Cavalieri, the Canadian athlete, off the front using the bus. Here comes Gunter. Over the top, we've got Jay Mott in there as well. We're with Calaveri as well as he comes up to the line, and we got Gunter actually taking the sprint there. That was a B grade sprint. It'd be interesting to go back and see if that was the sprint for the win for B grade as well.
If you want to maybe have a look even at the companion app, Greg, for some of those, wouldn't it be amazing? So here we go. Official results have just come through on Zwift Power. So Ryan Giuliano has taken the... sorry for looking down there, but
that's where our screen
blokes
is
can't do two things at once. And Brian Hodges finishing in second position. So Giuliano taking the win there, 23.54. That is 2 minutes, a little bit more faster than last night. 5.1 watts per kilo. In second position from Team Evoke, Brian Hodges. Third position there, Dex Dines. Fourth position, Greg Cohen. Fifth position, Pedro Ericart. Sixth position, Luke Gilbert. So he had a run of 3 wins and it just sort of dropped back over the last few races. Aiden Sinclair with that big early attack, Greg, as well. He's fallen back there to 7th position, but good on him for having from Kirkmire E-Racing. 8th position, Jeremy Ray. 9th position there is Tony Gumbel. And rounding out the top 10, Josh Harrison of Team Cryogen. 10th was inside a second.
Unbelievable.
That was that finish, mate. So always we're trying to refine our craft, and the perfect timing there of 2 massive packs rolling across the finish line at the same time.
So a couple of highlights for me. Definitely Aiden Sinclair, Tim. 5.1 watts per kilo, if you don't mind, average for the event. So
5.4. 5.4 and 5.4 also for Jeremy Ray. That's a good workout.
Not bad for 25 minutes. Those guys probably have the bucket out right now.
That's
trying to recover.
That's worth a day off school, isn't it?
Unbelievable. Just take a day off school, do a Zwift race. I love it.
So please, we love the engagement. And of course, we will be back next week here on Zwift Community Live and of course on our own Facebook page, Coa Sports 01. So share the broadcast around, and thanks for tuning in. Thanks for Kent for doing such a wonderful job running the broadcast. We would be in a bit of trouble, it would be fair to say.
Last but not least, Tim, thanks to Nathan for giving us the keys to the city this evening.
Yeah,
I know. Taking over his page. I hope we've done it justice, mate. I'm sure we have. I think we've done a pretty good job. It's been all right.
If you do say so yourself, we'll catch you next time here on the Coa Sports Warrior Race. Race hard.
Kilo by Sproul. Jason's coming back. Chris is coming back over the top.